Hey LEGO fans, and welcome back to MB Bricks. My name is Maya and today we are looking at the finale video of my entire Crimson Claw Castle that I will be bringing to Bricks in the Six this weekend. If you've been following along, you know this has been taking me about 2.5 months to put together in its entirety, and I'm so excited that it is finally complete and ready to be shown off. If you like this build, be sure to leave a like and a comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see more. If you're in the area this weekend, don't forget to get your tickets for Bricks in the Six to come see this build in person. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this build. This build is 3 feet deep, 6 feet wide, and the castle is about 3 feet tall. I started with a large castle and knew I could expand the village as big as I could make it in the timeline that I had before the convention. A large moat separates the castle from the rest of the build, and 2 bridges give access to each side. The water is created using loose, trans-medium blue studs, and I finished off the moat with some alligators and frogs under the bridge. The large wooden bridge leads up to the main gatehouse and is fairly plain, so it could be lifted up in defense. The second bridge is a smaller stone bridge that is a bit more decorated and leads below the castle into the mining area, which we will look at soon. We can see a couple of Lion Knight guards escorting a captured troll into the underground to put him to work. Directly off of the mine entrance, we can see a bustling market area. Several vendors are set up with tattered-looking canopies, which were created using the cloth sail pieces from the Silent Mary set, and a favorite design of mine. First up, we can see a jeweler who is trying to convince a maiden she really needs her husband to buy her that expensive heart-shaped pendant, although she does not look too impressed by it. Next up, we can see the winemaker trying to convince a nearby customer to try a glass of her specialty, who seems much obliged. Next to her is the blacksmith with a large selection of different armor, helmets, and swords on display. He is the best craftsman in the area. Finishing off the market area, we can see a tailor with many different styles of cloaks to try on, and next to him is the cheesemaker, who has a delicious array of cheese conveniently located across from the winemaker. A fig is just arriving to the market with a cart pulling cow, ready to make some purchases, and right behind the cheesemaker is a fenced-in area full of goats. Goats are highly coveted in this fantasy world, similar to the Lego goats in real life. A goat herder is directing more goats to their temporary pen by the market. Finishing off the front, we can see one more fig heading in with a load of seafood to try and sell at the market. Marching by the market is a parade of Lion Knights heading up the path to Crimson Claw Castle, returning home from a journey. Behind them, we can look at the first building of the village, which is the apothecary. While the lady who runs the apothecary is sometimes questioned due to her vast knowledge of herbs and remedies, the village believes her to be a good witch and often turns a blind eye. She has a great little setup with some newly acquired potion bottles and ingredient casks. You can see her nearby whipping up a new concoction with her mortar and pestle. A large mortar and pestle signifies the shop just beside her, with one of my favorite color schemes of dark brown and dark tan. I used some snot designs to create rock work for the chimney and around the base of the building. A mysterious hooded individual can be seen here, just leaving the apothecary, but the one thing about the witch is she doesn't discriminate who comes by, even if they could be up to no good. Back on the main path, we can see a couple of maidens getting some wine poured as they giggle and hang out. This is a recent new technique I designed using a green hot dog piece to make it look as though the wine is pouring out of the bottle. Just behind them is the bakery, where a young boy and his father are deliberating on what treats they should grab to take home. There are a lot of delicious looking pastries, cookies, and pies on display to choose from. The bakery building is just behind and has an olive green and reddish brown color scheme. This is my first time using olive green in a medieval building, and I think the end result looks very good. Next up is the local pottery. This skilled fig is very good at crafting different pots, bowls, and plates for the kingdom and takes a lot of pride in his designs. Several items are on display under the canopy, and the home and workshop is right beside. A hanging pot protrudes from the front of the roof overhang, and I tried to give the shop a bit more intricacy to its design. Continuing along, we can see some movement that I have added in with the LEGO Spike Prime kit. Of course, the large windmill really stands out with its 4 blades rotating and working to crush wheat inside into grain. I used white and a variety of brown shades to create this octagonal building, and I really like the design of it. I tried to keep all the buildings in this diorama unique, and this is probably the most unique of them all, as well as using some new-to-me techniques. Outside of the windmill, we can see a small wheat field being harvested by a nearby maiden. She is not looking too happy though, as 2 young boys were playing around in the wheat stalks, jumping out to scare her. She then decided to chase them away, swinging her broom at them. We can see a second movement here as the 2 boys run away, laughing wildly at the poor lady's misfortune. On the other side of the windmill, we can see a small gathering of cows grazing in the grass, and possibly leading to a cow field beyond the edge of this mock. The back of the build is filled up with several tall trees and a variety of foliage. Just in front of the windmill, we can see a honey harvesting area. Several bees are flying around the beehives, and nearby lavender is in full bloom. A poor lad has attempted to harvest the honey, but unfortunately has not been successful. He is now running away, his face filled with stings. The last building is the farmhouse, built with a nice white and dark brown color combo. I think this finishes off the corner very nicely, with lots of foliage filling up the front. A worker is in the very front, harvesting carrots, a full bin nearby. The front has a lot going on, with some trees and flowers taking up a lot of the space. We can see another poor fig trying to throw some feed for the chickens, but has found himself surrounded by a bunch of hungry birds. He is seconds away from dropping the feed and running like mad. The very front has a fun edition of a puppet show, presented by a jester of course, and he is telling the harrowing story of The Hare and the Bear, an unexpected friendship. Several children are sitting in front of the canopy show, watching eagerly. Just behind is a large pig pen completed with a mud puddle and a small covered shed area filled with supplies. The pigs are having fun splashing in the cool mud, and some are investigating a nearby scrap pile to see if there's anything good to munch on. There is a lot to see with the village area, with the abundance of foliage, hidden animals, and fun stories. However, it is time to head over to the Crimson Claw Castle and take a look at the features of the large structure. The castle is guarded by a large outer wall and a tall gatehouse. The gatehouse was setting the tone for the rest of the castle build, and I'm glad I went with this textured look with the different elements and colors. There are several lion knights pacing around and keeping an eye on the surrounding area. The 2 towers are donned with a lion sculpture on each side at the top, and there is a lion knight's emblem on the gatehouse as well. The gatehouse has a working portcullis, and I have used black to give it that wrought iron look with tooth plates on the bottom. The gate is hoisted up and down manually using this piece on the side. The castle is now quite tall and is quite imposing. I love the look of the dark brown and regular brown matched against the stonework for the wall. The black roofs also really pop, and I've continued the same design going up the front of the castle. The roof of the castle has 3 sections of black roofs that are decorated, and 2 additional towers rising up to give the best view over the village below. I tried to give it a lot of architectural details, such as the little frogs, to give it some character. The roof on the right-hand side has a small access hatch that leads to the roof from the servant stairwell within the castle. A couple of lion knights are pacing from the tallest portion of the castle. There is then a balcony that is accessed by the third level of the castle. This balcony is loaded with bows and arrows in case of an attack. For now, another couple of line knights are keeping an eye out below, ready to request backup if needed. The courtyard is a bit difficult to see, but there are a few details there that I wanted to show off. In front of the inside dining hall, there is a beautiful flower garden donned with the castle's colors for the flowers. This gives a pleasant scent within the castle when the windows are opened. A wine-making area is nearby, with the village's finest grapes being crushed and fermented in the barrels. This is close by to the castle's kitchens for easy access. There are some important figs walking around, possibly shopping in the courtyard market, which only hosts the finest materials from the kingdom. A couple of knights are just returning on the horseback from an important journey, and 2 more knights stand guard at the front entranceway. Continuing around to the side of the castle, we can start to take a look at the interior rooms. I am very happy with how this turned out and very pleased that I was able to incorporate the lighting into this build, which is the first time I have done any sort of lighting like this. These lights come from Leleiko, and if you're interested in purchasing some lights yourself, I'll pin the link in the comments below, and make sure you add in discount code MBBricks for 25% off your order. We can start with the mines, as that's where I began my build. We can see a lot of gold veins running through the walls and some more gold spilling onto the ground. A few trolls are busily working away to collect this gold and transport it out to the castle. There is not a lot of light provided for these poor trolls, just a few feeble torches in the middle of the room. I have one troll carrying an additional torch, one is mining the wall, and another is pulling a large cart to load up. This tunnel behind him actually works around to come out the other side, where there is a small access point to the village. I have also added in these little mushroom characters who are misbehaving a little bit and trying to steal the gold that the trolls have worked so hard to mine. Moving towards the dungeons, we can see a poor fellow who tried his best to escape, but ended up getting trapped here and staying forever. The guards never found him. On the other side of the underground section, we can see the dungeons. This will be another very dark and dingy place of the castle, and we can see a couple of occupants in the cells, one of which has been there for a long time. Besides the cells and lights, the dungeon is otherwise barren and unwelcoming. The flooring is unfinished, and I added in the same textured ground as the base of the mines. A single guard stands by the stairs, which lead up to the first floor and the servants' stairwell in the castle. You can see a door leading to the exterior of the castle, where prisoners could be brought in and led directly down to the dungeons. Just adjacent to the stairwell is the armory, where soldiers could quickly get ready and then exit through that same door to defend the castle, or ascend the stairs to the upper floors. The armory is dimly lit and is filled with all sorts of armor, weapons, and shields. Next up, we are heading to the main foyer of the castle, with a grand staircase leading up to the second floor. The foyer is 2 stories tall and is framed with a long balcony on the second floor. Several large potted plants decorate the hall in the castle's colors, and a suit of armor sits in the corner. The younger princess is playing in the middle of the hall with some kittens. Cats were very welcome in medieval times, as they helped keep the rodent population down. The foyer is finished with some large windows donned with brilliant red drapes, and a large emblem is hung above the large doors leading to the front. Straight off the foyer leads into the dining hall. The king and queen are here, feasting on a large lunch consisting of bread, cheese, soup, wine, and pie. Several staff are nearby to grab them anything they desire. Nearby tables are showing off their wealth with full turkeys and roasted pig on display. There are also wine and tea tables that are always ready in case of guests. The back wall has another large emblem of clashing swords and a large hanging flag. The final room for the first floor is the kitchen, which is located right off of the dining hall. There are lots of fun details in here, including a stove with burning coals inside, a bubbling pot on the stove, and a lot of utensils hanging on the walls. The tables are full of spices, vinegars, and other foods required in the meals they cook. We can see a maiden busily working away, preparing some fish, as well as some newly finished pies cooling nearby. This door leads to the courtyard, giving easy access to the winemaking barrels outside. Continuing on up to the second floor, we can see the library located right above the kitchen. I tried to keep a cozy feel to the room with the dark brown furniture. A large built-in surrounds the window, leaving a little reading nook in front. The shelves are decorated with various objects. There is a small desk with a half-written note, and then another larger bookshelf crammed with books. I have finished off the room with a large rug, 2 brick-built chairs, and a table piled precariously with books as well. You can access the library from the seating room, which we will look at next. This was a large room that used to entertain guests. There is a large staircase that leads up to the 3rd floor, and in front a couple of different musical instruments to show off to visitors. In front of the window is a large dessert table piled high with pastries, cookies, and a large cake, again in case they have guests. The candles are glowing here again, and another glowing candle is placed on this table, which also holds some plates, fresh water, which was hard to come by in medieval times, so it was definitely once again showy, and a couple of goblets. The very front of the room is where you can see some seats and a small table which has a checkerboard set up to play. The older princess is here, chatting with her best friend and sipping some wine. We will head back along the balcony of the 2nd floor, passing by a maid puttering away and tidying up after the royals. The other side of the balcony leads to the map room, used by the king and his men to figure out the best routes for long journeys. The map room is always a fun one for myself to put together, and there is a lot to see in this small area. The center of the room has a large table that is actually built sideways to give a cool texture to the top of it, finished off with a map and a compass. On the left-hand side, we can see a small desk area with a note and glowing candelabra. The shelf beside has some books and items found on faraway journeys. The other side is finished off with some treasure and a globe. The map room leads into the servants' stairwell, where, once again, soldiers could head down to the armory and then straight outside. The stairwell has changed from the dampness of the main floor and underground to a drier upper floor, so I have switched from the dark bluish gray to the light bluish gray. This continues all the way up to the roof. The 3rd floor is where we can find the bedchambers. The servants' stairwell leads to a small hallway where the princesses' rooms are located. I have opened both of these rooms up with large arch to view the interiors, but you can imagine a wall being in its place with a couple of doors. The youngest has a lavender bedspread with several toys on the floor. I have once again included the green wooden duck, which I have used before and is a nod to the original Lego wooden toys that were produced by Ole Kirk Christensen. The second bedchamber belongs to the eldest daughter, who is a bit more modest with her room and better at keeping it tidy. She has chosen coral for her bedspread and has some simple perfumes on the table and any other belongings stored away in the chest. Continuing along, we can see a more open hallway decorated with the same plants found in the main foyer, tall windows with matching red drapes, and large doors leading to the balcony area. The 3rd floor is accessed through the stairwell that leads up from the seating room. The door right off the stairwell leads to the King and Queen's bedchamber. This room is quite large and boasts a few more belongings. The bed is large and donned with brilliant red covers, and a tea set is nearby for tea at any time.
The table on the right-hand side of the room holds the Queen's beauty supplies, including a hairbrush and makeup. This bookshelf is actually one of my favorite features of the castle, as it swings open to reveal the castle's treasury. I could think of no better reason to have a secret room but to hide all of the castle's riches and jewels. I have added in several lights to give glow to the gems, and I had a lot of fun adding in the piles of gold and putting in all the specialty pieces on the shelves. Finally, we can see the back of the roof area. The center is matching to the gatehouse with two large towers on either side, both overlooking the land in all directions. A couple of skilled archers pace the rooftop, looking for suspicious activity. Now I'm going to turn off the overhead lights to get a full view of the light show within the castle.
And that covers everything for this large medieval castle diorama. If you want to see more medieval or castle style builds, do check the description below. I will leave a link to a playlist of all those types of builds on my channel. I've really been getting into these larger builds and build series, so if you have a theme that you want to see next, do let me know in the comment section below, because I'm not really sure what I'm going to be working on in the future. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe because it does help out this channel a lot. Thanks so much for checking out this video today, guys, and until next time, keep on building.